One day, two cities, two black people killed two white cops. One of the cops in Los Angeles was called to a burglary. He had been patrolling in the area of a Black Lives Matter protest, where the speakers were talking about how the white cops are always brutalizing black people. At the same time this was happening in Philadelphia, Hillary Clinton and her supporters were commiserating about how black people in Philadelphia are the victims of relentless white racism all the time, everywhere. That explains everything, especially why the cops in Philly are always picking on black people for no reason whatsoever other than, well, implicit bias. That's what Hillary said. Let's put these stories together. Let's connect the dots. And let's contemplate how it could possibly be any worse.
Micah, the LA County Sheriff's Department is in mourning tonight. The victim, a highly decorated sheriff sergeant who's been on the force for nearly 30 years, killed in the line of duty. And we're told the suspect, an armed burglar who's on active parole. Family, fellow deputies, and firefighters arrive at Antelope Valley Hospital and escort Sergeant Steve Owen's body to the LA County morgue. A show of respect for a popular 29-year vet who made the ultimate sacrifice.
And we're all suffering right now. His family certainly is suffering. His law enforcement family is suffering. It doesn't get worse than this, folks.
LA County Sheriff's officials say 53-year-old Owen was shot and killed while responding to a burglary in progress call around noon. Owen was the first on scene at this Lancaster apartment building. As a second deputy arrived, he heard gunfire.
The deputy at the front of the apartment complex ran to the aid and in the direction of that gunfire, where he found Sergeant Owen suffering from a gunshot wound.
The suspect fled on foot, and the deputy chased after him. The suspect hopped into Sergeant Owen's car to escape. A deputy-involved shooting broke out. The suspect then rammed Owen's cruiser into the second deputy's car before running off. A large containment was set up, and schools went into lockdown.
At that point, we believe the suspect entered yet another location. That location, there were two teenage children who were in that residence, who were ultimately able to inform law enforcement of the presence of the suspect at that location.
A special enforcement team made a crisis entry to rescue the teens. The suspect, who's a parolee from the Antelope Valley area, tried to flee out the back door, but eventually surrendered.
The suspect was taken into custody. We believe that he suffers from a gunshot wound to the upper torso. He's been transported to a local area hospital.
We're told Owen was shot in the face and transported to the hospital by fellow deputies. His wife, children, and mother were with him as he passed away, as well as fellow deputies and his friend, Lancaster's Mayor Rex Paris.
I can't tell you what it's like to be with 100 crying police officers. I mean, they were devastated.
And Sheriff Jim McDonald did release a statement tonight saying that the tragedy of a deputy sheriff such as Sergeant Steve Owen making the ultimate sacrifice has a massive impact on the whole law enforcement family. We all mourn together, and our hearts go out especially to Steve's immediate family. Now, Sheriff Jim McDonald has been out of town on department business. However, we're told that he is now on his way home.
News all morning long. Officials tell us an officer is in critical condition right now after being shot in the Afton area.
Yeah, we're told that officer has since been transported to St. Anthony's Medical Center.
That is where our Paige Holsey is right now. But first, let's get to our Justin Andrews. He is live at the scene on Arno Drive, again near Afton. And Justin, we're just learning some new information in the last 15 minutes.
We certainly are, Emily. Good morning. Investigators say the 33-year-old officer was immediately shot at when he arrived on scene. The second officer returned fire, striking that suspect. I want to give you a live look at Sky Zoom 4 right now. It is flying right above us. You can see a car. It appears to be a gunshot in the car. And next to that car, if you take a closer look, it looks like there is a handgun. Again, we're waiting to get that confirmed from police. But officers and the suspect, they are both in critical condition. Again, this does not look good for the officer, according to officers out here. Now, again, this all came down around 5 o'clock this morning. The officer was responding to a call. That's when he was shot at. Again, the condition of that officer and the suspect, both in critical condition. We have crews covering every angle of the story. I'll send it back to you for now.
Hi, I'm piggyback off of the gun violence. Hi, my name is Ernie, and I am a mother of 3 black African-American boys. And my twins are 18, and my son is 26. And for them to leave the house, I'm a big supporter of Black Lives Matter. And for them, and I also have a daughter. So the reality of a mom with all these children in the community, in the heart of Philadelphia, doing so many things, the gun violence is real for me as a mother. Because they can walk out just doing their own thing, minding their business, doing quality of life things, and get pulled over by the police. The policing policies have to stop. It has to be changed. It has to be changed to where the fact that if you have productive children doing productive things and not feel safe, if they're going to just drive over the bridge to Jersey, get pulled over with their hands up in the air and still get shot. We need policies to change, because that's really a reality to me. What is your intake on that?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, that is the reality. That is the reality. What she is talking about is what black parents live with every day. I was in Charlotte on Sunday, and I was speaking at a church, and I said, look, I have these 2 absolutely wonderful grandchildren. I will never have to sit them down and tell them to be afraid, to be careful. I will expect them, as she expects her kids, to be law-abiding. But that doesn't always work. And therefore, we've got to do 3 things. Number 1, those of us who aren't in her position need to empathize and understand what it's like when her sons walk out the door to go see their friends or go to school. Putting ourselves in the other's shoes goes a long way in a country as diverse as ours to getting people to really, feel and experience what that is like. Secondly, we've got to do more to reform the criminal justice system. There are so many good, honorable police officers. They need our support. They need our backing. And at the same time, we have to help them get the kind of training and standards that they're looking for to really make it more possible to have every police officer know how to de-escalate situations. It is scary. And I met with a group of young African-American men after church in Charlotte, and one of the young men, it was so impressive. He's a barber, and he started a program bringing young African Americans together with local police so they could get to know each other and break down some of the misunderstanding. And he said, as part of the training, he went to one of the simulating training experiences that police officers get. And he said it was eye-opening, because the first time he was part of a stop, he was a man in the driver's seat, a woman in the passenger seat, and he was part of the police stop as an observer, and he goes up to the window and says, show me your hands. And the man put his hands up, and then his role was to say, okay, step out now. And the woman picked up a gun from the other side of the seat and shot him. That was all simulated. So he said the next time he did a simulation, he was stopping a truck that was driving erratically, and the man in the front seat was being difficult, and he was saying, come on, get out of the car. And a young girl, 11-year-old girl in the car, the truck, picked up a stick, and this young African-American man said, I just automatically shot her. We need everybody to work on de-escalating situations, understanding what we all face, because remember, people are scared on both sides of those transactions. And it's important that we work with our communities and work with our police and do everything we can to try to create a bigger zone of safety. I met with the police chiefs of about 10 American cities, big cities. I said, what are your biggest problems? And they said, we are the people called when there are mental health problems. Not mental health experts, call the police, usually by a member of the family, saying, you know, he's off his meds, he's acting crazy, he's threatening us. He said, they say, our forces don't have experience for that. So there's a lot we've got to do, starting with empathy and understanding and putting ourselves in somebody's shoes, criminal justice reform, better training, better standards, dealing with implicit bias, all of those challenges. And then finally, to link the question from this mom to that mom, we got to get guns off the streets and out of the hands of people who are dangerous to the community and dangerous to the police.
So a black woman stands up and talks to Hillary Clinton and reminds Hillary Clinton that black people in Philadelphia are being shot with their hands up, don't shoot, all the time. And what does Hillary say to that? Absolutely. She reminds everybody that we have to retrain the cops because white cops have implicit bias towards black people who are being killed in Philadelphia for no reason whatsoever. Anybody who knows, and everybody in that room knew that wasn't true. Everybody. Because everybody in that room knows that when a black child walks out of a house in Philadelphia, he has 90, and if he gets killed, it's not going to be from a cop, it's going to be from a black person. And the percentage of bad shootings to good shootings in Philadelphia where cops shoot black people who are pulling guns on them is just thousands to one. Yet Hillary sits there and throws a few bromides at the cops so they can't get totally unhappy with her. But she sits there and blames the cops because the cops are victims. The cops are victims of relentless black hostility and violence. We see it every day. How many black shootings have there been? Black-owned cop shootings have there been in Philly this year? A couple months ago, we saw on video, we saw a guy in a Muslim garb take a gun, walk up to a cop car, and unload the gun. He said he was doing it in the name of Allah. That's what the cops said. He said in jail. A couple hours later, the mayor was panicking, going, "Oh, no. This had nothing to do with Islam. Nothing to do with anything. It was just, I don't know, what was it, an accident?" Cops are an unbelievable amount of risk. White people in Philly, Asian people in Philly are at an unbelievable amount of risk from black violence. Not a word about that at this little gathering Hillary put together with her planted questions. Yeah, that was the meeting where the person asked the planted question. Nobody's talking about this enormous amount of black criminality like it doesn't have anything to do with anything and everybody's just walking the streets and the only reason they commit crimes is because police are picking on them. That's what we're being told. That's what we're doing here on this YouTube channel. We're exposing the greatest lie of our generation, the lie of black victimization that is now taking on national proportions. I've never seen anything like this. The cast of one of the most popular TV shows on network TV called Empire, it's a black show. They're all doing a commercial for Hillary connected to Black Lives Matter. The crowd at the Democratic National Convention is clapping Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. Meanwhile, black people are killing cops at unprecedented rates. White people in Philly have never been in more danger. Asian people in Philly have never been in more danger. And we can't get one reporter to recognize that. Not one. Not one. I guess it's up to us. It's up to us to tell the truth. If Hillary and her buddies in that audience and reporters all over the country are just going to continue to insist, all we have to do is don't make the black kids angry.